Yo, what's going on? This is the CEO, the CFO, the vice president, the main operator, the manager, the worker, the mixer, the master, the producer, the singer, the songwriter of Space Map Studios. What can I say? I thought about that intro for a very long time, worked really hard on it, and I think it came out great. In my email signature, it's hard to fit all that, but it fits and they get the point. I'm just kidding, okay? I'm really just here to help and try and build something. Today, I'm gonna be sharing what I know about making a sick reverb. Cool reverb, a reverb that fits, and a reverb that is not in the way. And I think reverb is one of the easiest, quickest ways to completely ruin a mix, especially a vocal reverb, because it can reintroduce so many nasty frequencies that we worked so tediously to get out of the lead take. And so that's the thing you got to be careful about with effects, but with just a few little tricks, that's absolutely nothing that can't be easily avoided. So this is what I've got. Check it out. Hold your So it's just in a nice space. To the average person, you can't really hear the reverb. It's more felt than audible, and I feel like that's kind of our goal as mixers, as producers, is whatever we're doing is to make things felt. Not everybody knows what they're listening to when they want a spacey vocal. Sometimes that's just a feeling of it being further back rather than it actually having a long, big reverb tail. And so I know there is a formula for this. I'm going to put that up on the screen. It can help you definitely get a good reverb tail. I think it's a good starting point. But as long as I learned what pre-delay, decay, diffusion, and EQ'd my reverb and made sure that it was getting out of the way of the vocal, everything was okay. I didn't have to play by the rules. And so I'm able to just, scoot the reverb into the spaces that I feel like it works out in. And so that's kind of how I ended up not using that formula. It's all about feeling, and that's really one of the most obnoxious things to be told when you're asking about mixing is, oh, just use your ears, just feel it out. But reverb is really where you start creatively adding character to the mix in a very obvious way. So yeah, step by step, I'm gonna run through this. I've got two reverbs running on this lead vocal, and I've got them all running on the background vocals. I'm going to focus on the lead vocal. I'm going to crank things, make things exaggerated, and see what in the world it is I'm doing. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull up. I just threw a reverb on here. This is exactly how it came, 3.5 second decay. I'm going to crank this up and let's hear what it's sounding like. Hold your It sounds like she's in an arena bathroom or something. So the first thing we're going to do is carve out the EQ, just kind of like how we're going to carve out a vocal. We want to get rid of those ugly frequencies that we took out of the vocal because they're going to regenerate whenever you throw them back through a reverb. So just a mild dip, low mids, a high pass filter, a low pass filter, and then I did a mild dip at 2K. I always kind of do that because I feel like a lot of the clarity in the vocal sits right around 2K. The reverb is supposed to be far away, and the further away you get from something, the less highs and lows you can hear from that thing. And so that's our goal with the reverb. Just simply put an EQ on that bus and EQ it. Just clean it up a little bit. And then what we're going to do, I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to do it right here, is throw a compressor on it. Any compressor. Let's see which one I want to roll with. And we're just going to sidechain it. So all you're going to do is come up here in the top right corner, sidechain, click, audio. And this is all my tracks. So I'm just going to click lead hook. And so now the compressor is triggering and compressing the reverb according to what the lead vocal is doing. So anytime the lead vocal is coming out, it's going to squeeze down on the reverb a little bit just to give her the space that she needs, and the reverb's going to fill up everything else. And this is why that when you sidechain your reverbs, that formula kind of can go out the window because your tails can be really long without them compounding and creating mud. Let's dial this in and see. The reverb is super cranked on this, so let's see what's going on. So already the bus is still the same. Obviously when you're compressing, you're reducing overall volume. My bus mix is still all the way up and already it sounds so much better. You can hear when the compressor lets go, it brings back that thick reverb back in that we like. And that's when we're going to be able to decrease the threshold a little bit and just turn that bus mix down a little bit. And now we're going to have a reverb that is dancing around the vocal. We've got it dancing around the vocal EQ wise, and we've also got it dancing around the vocal dynamic wise, volume wise. So it's dodging the star of the show. We've got a fairly fast attack and release so that it's getting in and out of the way quick. So let's hear what that sounds like. It's giving her this dryness of attention, but at the same time, it's giving us the ability to manipulate this massive background that doesn't make sense how it's fitting in the mix and working with all the noises going on. It's just a super cool trick. I remember when I first heard about buses, I was like, oh no, this is the end of the world. This is the most confusing thing ever. And then you figure out buses, literally just a mix knob. That's all it is. Yeah, I'll start putting my reverb on a bus. And then I start seeing people doing stuff to the reverb bus, EQing, compressing, like putting phasers on the reverb, just doing stuff, treating their reverb send like an actual audio file, which it is. You're introducing a new audio track into the track when you do this. So you need to mix it and create and manipulate it. You start off when you pick the reverb, the size, hall, plate, chamber, whatever it may be, room, ambience, you're picking the vibe, but the vibe is not going to instantly just pop in your mix like a puzzle piece. You pick the vibe, that's the first step. Now you got to carve it out. And the cool thing about this, about the side chaining, every single one, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 background vocals, all going at the same time, and all are sent into that reverb heavier than the lead is. But the compressor on that same reverb is still ducking according to the lead vocal. So we get this massive background effect. It's a 3-step process. Pick your vibe, EQ out nasty frequencies that came back in, and sidechain, unless you want to use that formula. You could kind of hear it was a dark reverb I had on there. I don't always do this. I'll implement multiple reverbs. This one is it's just a preset. I just did a large vocal chamber. This is a super cool reverb. You can blend between all these chamber, hall, reflection, which is a more room, ambience type thing. And you can create a blend. So that way you're getting the feel of 3 reverbs rather than having to create 3 different reverb sends. But I just went ahead and used this for a more brighter sound, since I was using a darker reverb to create warmth and gooey mush underneath the vocal. And then I just brought in this brighter EQ just to add a little shimmer on top, because I wasn't getting that out of the plate reverb by Sound Toys. And so I'm gonna crank this all the way up and just hear what that's doing. So it's a pretty, honestly, nasty, obnoxious sound, if I'm being honest, but blended in, I like it, and it just adds that little tickle on the top, that little twinkle. So dialed back, I didn't even sidechain this, it's just to add a nice little shimmer. Just something to think about. Coolest thing about compression is the ability to manipulate. It lets you work in another dimension when you're, working with attack and release time, just shifting things forward and back in a mix. This is something I'm learning. Like, I'm by no means top of the line. I just really think it's cool. By explaining a lot of this stuff, I too end up rethinking things that I'm like, I know this, but I've never applied it consistently. That's how to get a cool vocal reverb. 3 easy steps, just quick. Pick your vibe, throw your vibe on there. EQ it, just EQ it, just do it. It's very important. Mildly, remember, that's not even 3 dB at 400 hertz and 2200 hertz. Go to spacemapstudios.com if you want to check out some services. There's a sample pack up there. I also posted and release music on Sir William Jack. That is SirWilliamJack on Instagram, YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, everywhere else. Expect some podcasts. I don't know what I'm going to try to turn this into, but I'm going to try and give it my all. I realize life is too short. We all say we don't care what anybody thinks, but that is such a lie, because if that was true, the things we would do and the things we would test ourselves with would be so incredible. And the reality is the reason we all say we don't care what people think is because we care what people think. It's defending our image of being independent and self-sufficient and this and that. We're built and designed by God to be in community and to cherish each other's opinions and value. It's instilled in us for a reason, but we're dealing with some seriously hateful people in this world. Life is too short to put on pause what you could be, to not find out who you could be. We owe it to the people that we love to fight as hard as we possibly can to be the best version of ourselves so that we can love them properly, provide for them properly, and influence them in a positive way. I mean, who doesn't want that? What unfortunately we get confused and, look in the wrong directions for the right answers, but I don't know. Kind of went off on a tangent there. But just keep going, just keep fighting for who you're meant to be and figure it out. And that's exactly what I'm doing with this. My goal with this, channel is I want to put myself out there. It's been about I think 10 or 11 days of doing these videos, and from day one to day now, I feel 100% more confident just turning on a camera and talking. And that's so cool because we all feel like we have something to say to the world. So why would you not get the first step out of the way? When you get the whole camera thing and talking to the camera and talking to people out of the way, you're able to think clearly about what it is you want to say to people. And it's realistic. When you're thinking about it, it can actually happen because you've gotten the first step out of the way. You've made those videos. You've been awkward. You've been cringy. Now you've put yourself in the position to actually be able to clearly say what it is you have to say and what it is you have to offer the world. Like I said, we owe that to ourselves. I don't know, something to think about. Started off way too lighthearted and got way too serious, but that's all cool. We did reverb, busted it out, and dropped some wisdom at the end. Hopefully, I don't know, spacemapstudios.com. You can also reach me at Sir William Jack on Instagram. Listen to my music, Apple Music, Spotify, even on YouTube. I don't know, but that's it.